Hello, today we are going to be looking at how to find equivalent fractions. So go ahead and get your paper, pencil out, and we'll look on how to find equivalent fractions and what does that mean. So first thing to know is the word equivalent just means equal. Something is equivalent is equal, just like the number 1 is equal to the number 1. We know if we have one candy bar, that's equal to someone else that has one candy bar. That's equal. So what is equivalent fractions? Well, let's look at this. Let's look at the fraction 1/2. We know I have 1/2 of a pie. Now let's look at another fraction, 2/4. Now if I take that same pie right here, that was 1/2, and I split it into fourths, and I shade in two of them, 2/4 is equal to 1/2, because you can see here, 2/4 still takes up half of that circle in the same way the 1/2 does. So 1/2, 2/4, we call those equivalent fractions. So how do I find an equivalent fraction? Well, let's look at this. Let's say I have the fraction 1/3, okay? And I want to make that equivalent to a fraction that has 18 on the bottom. How do I do that? What I do is I find out what are they multiplying 3 times to get 18. What is that multiplied by? Whatever that is, I'll multiply the top by to get my top number. So for example, I know 3 times 6 equals 18. So if I do the same thing to my top of my fraction, 1 times 6 equals 6, I know that 1/3 is equal to 6/18. It's kind of weird, but fractions are really cool that as long as you multiply the top of the fraction, the numerator, and the bottom of the fraction, the denominator, by the same number, it's going to give you an equivalent fraction. So let's look at another one. Say I have the fraction 1/2, and I want to find an equal fraction that has an 8 on the bottom, or for the denominator. So here I have a denominator of 2, here I have a denominator of 8. I want to see what my numerator would be. So I have to ask myself, 2 times what number equals 8? Well, I know 8 divided by 2 is 4, or 2 times 4 is 8. So on the top, I did times 4 here. I'll do the same thing up here, times 4. So 1 times 4 gives me 4. So I know that 1/2 is equivalent or equal to 4/8. So it kind of seems weird, but as long as you multiply the top of the fraction and the bottom of the fraction by the same number, you are always going to get an equivalent fraction, because you're just breaking that pizza, that 1/2, I'm sorry, into more pieces. So I still have half filled, but now I'm just splitting it into 8 pieces. So I have 4 out of 8 pieces here, but 4 is still half of 8, still half of the pizza, just like 1/2 is the same. I'm going to put a few up on the screen here now for you to try. I want you to find what is 1/4. What's a fraction equivalent to 1/4 with an 8 on the bottom? And I want you to figure out, let's say, 2/5. What's a fraction equivalent to 2/5 with a denominator of 15? Go ahead and pause your video and give those two a try. Okay, so on the top fraction here, I had a denominator of 4, and I needed to go to a denominator of 8. You should have said, well, I know 4 times 2 equals 8. So you have to do the same thing again to the top of the fraction, the numerator, that you do to the bottom, the denominator. So 1 times 2 gives me 2. So you should have gotten, let me put that in green, you should have gotten 1/4 is equivalent to 2/8. Let's look at the other one here. I have 2/5. Well, I know 5 for my denominator times 3 equals 15. So I know I went 5 times 3 is 15. So I have to times the top by 3 as well, or multiply, I should say. So my numerator of 2 times 3 gave me 6. So I know 2/5 is equivalent to 6/15. So just to review, hopefully you did well in those. To review, when we do equivalent fractions, equivalent means equal. Equivalent means equal. I know I have to multiply my numerator and denominator by the same, and this is the most important part, it has to be the same number. The same number. So I have to multiply my numerator and my denominator by the same number to get equivalent fractions. Hope that lesson makes sense to you today. We'll try some more of those in class tomorrow. Have a wonderful evening.